Welcome to Season 3 of the Maverick Citizen podcast, What's Eating Us? My name is Zukiswa Pikoli, and I'm your host. Today we're in conversation with Refiloe Sibs, who works with the People's Pantry in Bertram's, Johannesburg.
I am Refiloe Sibs. On Saturday I turned 28.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. I'm originally from Mnambiti 8 File, but I came in here in my high school years towards grade 11. I came not here specifically in Bertram's, but I was based in Brakpan, where my mom has always worked, always made a living there through other organizations as well. She does a lot of community work, so I've been exposed to community work through my mom.
What kind of community work?
She does embroidery. She embroids, and then they also do host a few Catholic school kids that then bring in some donation to a project called Kopana Community Trust. And the embroidery is not specifically for the company's profits, but it is for the ladies to then also just try and make a living on them for themselves. My mom has been trained through Kopana Community Trust to actually run her own business when it comes to embroidery and sewing and just in general just handwork, creative work. So yeah, and she's someone that has also always had a garden that became a community garden. So that's how I got exposed to not just fending for yourself, but at the end of the day always having a synergy in whatever you do. See, I've gotten the opportunity to go for university through a bursary, but the expectations that they had at home were that now that I'm in university, no one had ever been to university before. So their expectations were that, because you're going to have some sort of income, you're going to have to also kind of fend for us as well. Of which I didn't see as a burden at first, because I won't lie, me getting that 1,800 from my bursary every month meant, I've never seen such money before. And that was...
It seems like a lot of money if you've never worked.
Yes. I was like, I'm gonna be able to look after myself and my family at the end of the day. And then you get to university and you realize there's actually a whole lot of things that you also have to look at. I mean, you have to eat, you have to ensure that you have a few gadgets as well in order to do your schoolwork. There was a whole lot of expenses that I didn't expect. And the whole lifestyle change also really took a toll on my mental health, a huge toll on my mental health, because I was now up thinking, what else can I do in order to get more money or get something in order to send back home? Because I know very well they are expecting something. And if my mom could do it, if my mom could put a plate on our table every day, what's stopping me from doing that? So my mental health went into shambles. In my third year, I couldn't complete my studies anymore. I was just a zombie to be exact. So then I got introduced to this community because I lived right here at New Doornfontein at a student accommodation here.
That's the one that's close to Maboneng?
No, just here next to Ellis Park.
By Ellis Park, okay.
Yeah. I then reached out to the People's Pantry. I found an email address on there. Told them what skills I have. I had offered my skills in administration, anything in connection with communications, as well as anything that has to do with community work.
What were you studying? I never asked you that.
Yeah, I studied BCom Information Management.
Okay.
Yeah. So I then reached out to them and also said, you don't need to pay me per se. I am looking for food at this point.
Sure.
I am living with a family that is just housing me, but they'd also like for me to contribute.
Yeah.
Then that's
so who was this family that you were staying with?
I lived with a family member He is around here. He lives with his wife.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very distant family member. But I mean, at that time, he took me in.
And he was somebody who was working and at least was able
Yeah,
to
he
provide
was the only person that was working
in the house.
Yes, in the house.
All right. So obviously that adds an additional pressure on you now to feel like you also have to do something.
Yeah. Luckily, at that time, she had a spot for something called the SCF. It's a social employment fund. So the social employment fund aims to encourage volunteering around your community, but you get compensated for it. So we would get paid 24 Rand per hour for doing that community work. So I then got into the program through Sandra.
Okay.
That helped a lot.
And I'm very interested in kind of the student experience as it relates to issues of food insecurity.
Yeah.
And just, just call it what it is, hunger.
Yes, hunger. I want to go back to how that whole issue stems from not even being in a tertiary institution. Before, when I was in high school, a lot of the kids there would feel shame for going to a feeding scheme.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you have other people calling you names, shaming your parents for not being able to afford you a meal.
Yeah.
And that has also gone through to university because, for example, the institution that I was with, UJ, the University of Johannesburg, had the gift of the givers there as some form of a feeding scheme as well.
Yeah.
But in my first year, a lot of people would not even go there. They
don't want to be seen.
Yeah, because you don't want to be seen as someone that is struggling. But I'll guarantee you that in the second year, that was during the fees must fall era. So during the second year, you'd see a lot of people go there. Because why? Because a lot of people had started speaking out about the situations that they are facing. They were speaking out about the fees must fall because we can't afford the fees per se. And then they were speaking about accommodation is land. That is another campaign that was run because a lot of students didn't have proper accommodation because it's either you have a bursary or you have NSFAS, or if you don't have both of those, or if NSFAS is not paying accordingly, you don't have proper accommodation. You have to just settle for anything. So when people started speaking about the struggles that they were facing, a lot of the shame would then wouldn't be a norm anymore. So I find that also for me, speaking out to my family and saying these are the struggles that I'm facing. I started speaking out. Sandra also assisted me with this when my mom and my sister were brought into this area, and they saw. We had them to experience a bit of what I do in a day. Have the ladies come in here for their food and everything else, and then I spoke out to them and said, I am actually struggling, and this is why I actually had to drop out of school because I had the shame. I didn't want to come out and say I'm not coping. I'm not able to send you anything at this point. So, yeah, the more we speak about the shared issues that we have, I find that's the more we are able to help each other.
It really is kind of that thing. What you're saying is that you kind of have to keep a stiff upper lip, and everything is okay, and I'm not fazed by this. Yeah. And it's also like this false sense of all is well.
And I feel that we are actually. I'm also a new mother. I'm a new mom.
Congrats!
Thank you. My son is 6 months, and I've seen a lot of other mothers through my antenatal classes, and there's this tradition that women per se have to be the strongholds all the time. Yeah. I'd speak out in my antenatal classes when you have 4 other women in the room, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not coping. I'm not able to, I'm not able to deal with certain things during my pregnancy." And some of them would be like, "But no, that's normal. We'll get through it." And you find that these are the issues. These issues are something that's going to have an impact on you giving birth For example, myself, I wasn't eating during my pregnancy, not because I didn't have some access to food. I had some access to food through the People's Pantry. The social employment, the SCF the program had come to an end during my pregnancy. So I was just coming in here as a volunteer and sometimes getting what is left over from the ladies that had recycled. So, me being that stressed person, for one, some days I'd forget to eat. Some days I wouldn't have anything to eat. So when I spoke to other ladies about that, and they'd be like, oh, that's just normal, just get yourself a cup of milk, you'll be fine. And then I later realized that does have an impact on the baby per se. My son is struggling to gain weight because he was also just born underweight. We have children suffering from stunting. So a lot of my lifestyle had an impact on the child that is on earth right now. So that's why I'm saying a lot of the things that we face, we have created a norm out of them, even though they're not right. And we've some sort of culture that don't speak about things that we're all facing because
they're abnormal.
Yes.
Because this is abnormal. I think it's abnormal to be living in a society where not everybody has basic access to food.
Yes.
And in a society where you have to plead your case to have access to food.
Yes.
Because again, I think that's also where that sense of shame comes in, and it's like, where's my dignity and all of that? Where's you being seen here in your own experiences and the community within Bertram's? What would you say the importance of places like, People's Pantry are?
It's significant to a lot of families, a lot of households, because there are times where we've had questions like, how do you stop people from going to all these soup kitchens because they function on the same days? We have those questions. Honestly, asking that question really doesn't make sense. People are hungry. We have people with families of 10, people with families of 7. So if one is hopping from one soup kitchen to the next, that means that this is a problem. Hunger is a problem.
Yes.
And then we have people also within that come in and collect the surplus food here that are fighting amongst each other, like immigrants, for example. We have a lot of immigrants that come in here. And then we have South African citizens that are like, we deserve it more. So these are some of the issues that we have and that we are trying to address, because also the People's Pantry doesn't aim to just give people the surplus food, but we also aim to create an awareness and create strength and advocacy within the community itself, because there's no need for people outside of the community to come in and say that they are seeing these problems, because we know best. The community knows best. I can't speak for community. I'm facing my own problems, and I can't say because I've faced this and I have this experience, then speak for the community. We need the community to speak up for themselves as well, because everyone faces different problems. But when we come together, we then see that these are shared challenges, and then we are able to fight for ourselves instead of having someone else come in and speak for the community. So the importance of such civil society organizations is that besides just providing you with the need that you actually need per day, is actually also giving you knowledge and encouraging you to advocate for your rights, because we do have a right to nutritional food that is enshrined in the Constitution, but we're not realizing that. The responses to COVID that came in during COVID, because a lot of people were seen to be facing hunger. There you weren't able to go out, able to, do as you normally would do, like what the government would say back then, when they used to say in the news, would say people are living from hand to mouth. And now I'm not able to sell and sell anything. I'm not able to, hustle for a better word, hustle as much as I would hustle. So the People's Pantry came in during that time, working with other civil organizations to collect food, surplus food, and also worked with Nando's in order to ensure that people had a decent meal on a specific day. But then it didn't stop there. The People's Pantry then partnered with an organization called LOC. LOC is a waste company per se. They saw that a lot of people that were taking their waste products into the recycling area were not able to do that as well. So they advocated for that to continue because that had an impact in the families. Some people live off of recycling, and now not being able to get that 10 rand to buy bread or whatever. So that actually hinders you from getting a meal. So they partnered with LOC for the community members to be able to recycle, but not recycle for money or cash, recycle for points instead of cash. And then you'd be able to then come into the People's Pantry and use your points to sort of purchase whatever is at the People's Pantry at that time, whatever you needed most that was at the People's Pantry at the time. And then fast forward to when after COVID, we then realized that we need to share rather than just, operate as a retail or a shop per se. We need to share. So now whatever surplus food we get, we share it amongst our 140 people each day on Thursdays and Fridays. We share it amongst those people in equal quantities. And then they all get to take whatever the shared quantities are on the same points. For example, if we have pumpkin and a bit of milli meal and we say those go out for 10 points, everyone's points everyone would need to have those 10 points to get that those surplus food. Sometimes we do not use the points if we have access to a lot of surplus food. And we then just give out the food as is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget because COVID was 5 years ago?
Yeah.
But I guess it came 5 years ago. And you kind of forget how difficult life was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people thought about, well, if the recyclers are unable to do their work, because this is how literally they earn their income, what are they living off of?
Yeah.
So I just think, this is such a pivotal kind of example of how critical, they are, firstly, but secondly, how big events like that can impact on people. And just like that, your source of income is just gone,
Yeah, another thing is that when it comes to recyclers, a lot of shame is also brought into that sphere. In this space, the People's Pantry, we have elderly women dragging recycling every day, not just for the points for the People's Pantry. They are dragging recycling in order to ensure that their kids have clothes on their back. They are dragging recycling in order to afford electricity. And that also has its own shame in it because society, as much as we've seen these recyclers for years now, but there are still people that will put some shame on your mom being a recycler or you yourself coming back from school and having to recycle. We've had to stop some kids from coming here because they then not go to school on a Thursday because we have the People's Pantry, the swap shop, that's what we call it. They would then come here in order to get what they recycled for, because they don't have food at home. We have to stop them because we also believe that you need a good education. But because of such things, shame being put into hunger, shame being put into poverty, we are not able to get the best out of people when it comes to that. So these are some of the problems that we are facing, trying to navigate around against. But yeah, it seems to be a continuous struggle.
And I think that's also the thing because, poverty is by design. It's, for all intents and purposes, should not be something that actually exists.
Yes.
Particularly in a country like South Africa. We're not a poor country.
Yeah.
And yet you have people living on such extremes, And I guess, the question is always around what are the systemic kind of interventions that you kind of make to break the back of poverty, which is the reason why you have this hunger issue that we have in South Africa. And the issue that we have around children being stunted, which, in itself is also not great for the economy, right? And I think it's terrible that you have to make an economic argument in order for people to eat. But, that it's just 1 + 1 equals, it's that basic.
We look at these communities that have to face these issues of hunger, and we look at how many other problems have resulted from that.
Yes, exactly.
Crime, for example. I've had to live in different households in this area of Bertram's, and my second household where I was renting the place, a back room there. A group of guys came in whilst I wasn't there. They came in, took a few stuff, including food stuff.
Yeah.
For me, that was a shocker because in Brakpan, they would steal your gadgets, everything else, and leave, right? But I then realized that this is actually an issue. They didn't just take things that would make them money, but also things that, why would you take a packet half full of sugar?
Yeah.
You are basically going to use that for yourself as well. So we are facing a lot of issues that have stemmed from hunger, and continuous issues arise from that.
Join us again next week when we continue this important conversation.